We are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so glad to have each and every one of you with us today. Today, we're going to be interviewing and seeing. Oh my goodness! Hold on. Hold on. Whoops. Sorry, I was pinning stuff. But we're going to be interviewing Shaysmith. She is an internationally known professional paranormal investigator. She has been on many shows and done investigations with many people that you would know from television. So it's going to be very exciting. She's also going to give Stephanie a surprise tonight and by displaying her skills on Stephanie. So this is going to be really interesting. We're going to start things out. First of all, I'm going to ask Shay to introduce herself in just a moment and tell her side, some things about herself to you to get, for you guys to get to know her a little bit and how you can find her as well. But right after that, we're going to start stepping into some of the most exciting paranormal investigations that the three of us has done. And somewhere in the course of this evening, if time allows, we would like to bring a few of you to come up one at a time to tell your most exciting paranormal investigation. All right, let's go ahead and roll. First of all, we have our lovely Stephanie Getz, my lovely soul sister here, and then we have Shay Smith. Shay, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you and let you go ahead and tell us about yourself.
Okay, well, I'm Shay, everybody. I live in the Lexington, Kentucky area. Been doing all these weird things ever since I was little. I don't remember a time I didn't see dead people, not to quote a movie, but that's a thing. I am a psychic and a medium. I'm a paranormal investigator. I'm also an energy worker. I'm Reiki certified. Pretty much anything weird or interesting is something I've probably already looked into, tried, and said yes or no. What else do you want me to say?
Yeah. What shows have you been on?
So I was on 1,000 Pound Sisters. I was in the episode where they go and visit a psychic. I've also, which is about to drop really soon, some of my really good friends, the Tennessee Ray Chasers, they have a new show called Ghost Mob, which first episode's out, and the second episode is dropping soon, which you may recognize, wink wink, people on there. I've also been on Haunted Discoveries. If you have not checked that show out, please run and do so. It's on a lot of different streaming platforms right now. Worked with some really cool people. I've been very blessed to meet people in very strange circumstances and work with them. Grant Wilson from Ghost Hunters, one of the OGs that I looked up to forever and ever and still do.
Yes.
Got to work with him on an investigation actually here in Kentucky, in Scottsville.
Oh, really? Kentucky?
Yes. Steve DeShavi from the Dead Files did an event with him one time through Scarefest. The Wraith Chasers, they've had many, many shows. Those are actually some of my favorite people on this planet. They've actually become besties, kind of. It's a weird life I have, but those are just some of the people that I've worked with. So.
Oh, that's very awesome. Very awesome. Okay. It looks like we have a lot of people coming on now. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Anyone just now hopping in? Glad to have you. This is going to be a very fun evening. So, Stephanie, would you like to begin with your most favorite investigation?
That is so hard, Michelle. And just for the viewers, I saw Karen was asking for a reading. We're not doing readings tonight. This is a different type of show, but maybe we'll be back soon doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I knew I was going to have to answer this question, and I have no idea how to answer it because there are so many, obviously, because I've been doing this for a long time. I would have to say there are two that rise to the top. And I have talked about Cedar Grove Tavern, where we actually had the smoke detector going off that had never even been out of the bag and box that had been bought. We had so much activity that night, and that was poltergeist activity where the lens cap was pulled out of Dale's back pocket and thrown on the floor. And Dale was like, ladies, should we be getting out of here? He was actually a little freaked out. That was.
For those, can I interrupt just a second? For those of you that don't know, Dale is he is part of Get Spooky Society with Stephanie, and he's also the cameraman. So
Right.
Go ahead. Right.
And he says he feels nothing, which is BS. He's coming over to the dark side slowly but surely. But that one was amazing. And we've been back, and apparently I can't think of the spirit's name right now, but he had been bullied as a child. And so he then thinks he's a big bad bully now, and he's really not. So I think we helped him a lot in our subsequent investigations there.
Nice.
Then I hear you, Dale. Dale's in here listening. He's packing to go on vacation. But then the other one that I kind of forget about, but we were just at the Buckeye Trading Post on 50 it's actually in Ohio, but it's on your way to Lawrenceburg. They just had the second annual Buckeye Bigfoot Bash, where Turtle Man was there and the Shenandoah Sasquatch. It was a blast. We were just there set up. And that place, the estate, the estate that sits on that place was one of those, I know you two have them, places you drive by and they just call to you and say,
yes.
I have to tell you stories.
Yes. This
place was one of those places. And I had no idea that a lady that I went to high school with owned it. So I just happened to go in looking for crystals one day, and she was there, and it took us about over a year to actually get it set up. What was very interesting about that place is they have a museum attached to the trading post, and then their house is like a museum of all these oddities. Lizzie Borden's doorknob, like a doorknob from her house, a hair wreath, floral wreath made out of hair that her aunt made. I mean, just crazy stuff. But in the house, she has all these oddities and antiques as well. And I'm an antique girl and, old and whatnot. And when they moved in there, they were like painting and stuff. There are 2 rooms, I think, that have little kids' handprints on the ceiling like this. And the ceilings are way up there. And there is a skee ball set that looks like a little tractor seat. And they got it in Madison, Indiana, I believe, or somewhere around there. And they had it in their previous place. And they knew a little boy was attached to it. Well, actually, I got twin little boys attached to it that said they were in the toy. And while we were investigating, they were fighting over it. And I had a flashlight and cat ball going off for both. Like, it was just mind-blowing.
Wow.
Those are my 2 favorite. And
wow. That's awesome.
It's from Native American land. They get a lot of their artifacts from their land. And I was ready for, the hostility, and they didn't come through at all. So that was interesting. But I'll say those are my 2 favorites.
That's very cool. Very cool. Okay, Shay, what about you?
Kind of in the same boat. There's so many that I'm like, man, like where, one of them would be the first time that I ever investigated St. Albans in Radford, Virginia. Man, that place is like, you just get close to the property and you're like, oh, that's a whole vibe to itself. Like, you just can't deny the fact that there's something there. It's probably one of the only places that I've ever, I don't say attacked in a light way because that's not something that happens very often to me, but I was attacked, like straight up slapped on the back of the neck and scratched all the way down. Like, we got it on pictures and everything, which immediately just enraged me.
Wow.
Sure.
There's never been a time that I've gone there that I haven't had some sort of experience that left me like, there is no doubt in my mind, if you weren't here, like, you missed out. That was probably one of the most memorable that I can think of. I felt bad for everybody recording EVPs after I got like scratched because my language was just kind of all over the place and very decorative. So that was an interesting playback to hear. Another one, it's actually here in Kentucky. It's in Benham, Kentucky. There is an old schoolhouse, but we also got to investigate the portal, the mine that's there. And it was kind of a personal event to me, which I think made it all the more interesting because my family has a very deep history with coal mining. Like, I have relatives on both sides who did it. A lot of them are from Eastern Kentucky. So I went in there and I kind of let them know that when I walked in. I was like, hey, I'm just going to be honest with you. I've got this grandfather, this other one, this great grandfather. I'm here because of them. You know, they supported my family, and that portal, I don't even know where to start. I mean, I was getting things I was asking for. We were getting confirmations right and left. We were getting rocks thrown. We were getting visuals, even when they turned the lights out, which it's a cave, right? It's a mine. There is no light. When you get back in there about, a mile back, there's nothing. You could see the dark that was darker than the dark. Like, you were getting people, we were getting one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. And I have heard throughout history books and talking with other miners and just kind of some folklore is the Lantern Man. This guy, I don't know if you guys know much, but shows up when there's something wrong. Usually he's there to warn and to guide miners and people trapped like that back to the front of the entrance. We got him, got it on film. Somebody was recording as I'm talking. And you can see the lantern, this light starts swinging out in front of us. And I was like, is anybody else seeing this? Confirmation that I'm not just insane. I got chills talking about it. But we heard music playing, and everything I could have dreamed for in an investigation was there. Wow. So it's a special place, especially, like I said, close to my heart with the stories about it. So
right.
Those might be my top two.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. You guys have been through so many awesome investigations. So I guess for mine, my favorite, which I haven't investigated as much as you two have at all. But my favorite is I had a school friend reach out to me. This has been approximately 2.5, 3 years ago. And in Kentucky, and she said, I really need help. They had like a family home that was way out in the country, and I stopped her and I said, okay, I don't mind to help, but please don't give me any information. I don't want to know the address. I don't want to know anything, right? So my process is, before I go on an investigation for 3 days, I meditate. And I receive information, and I draw everything out that comes through, and in vision, and then of course anything that comes through in voice, I write it out, and I interpret it if it needs interpreting. So for 3 days, I was getting information, and as I was getting it and drawing it out, I was sending it to her. But I told her not to let me know until I tell her I've gotten all the information. So the first thing that came through was I met, and it was really sad because these were slaves. It was a father and a son, and they were showing me where they lived, and there was like this real small shack, and it was right behind like this rock fence. And so I drew out everything I was seeing, where they were standing, where this little shack was, everything. And some things that they said. I sent that to her. So then I began communicating and finding other spirits who were there, because there was a complaint of there was something really nasty there. Okay, so what my job, my role is when I do this is to go in like within consciousness and meet the spirits that are there, find out why they're there, who they are, what they look like, all these things, draw them out, write them out, right? So there was one lady that came through, and she had on a blue dress, almost like a Southern Belle type look. and she had hanged herself. I saw a tree. I drew the tree, drew the noose, and explained some things that she had told me about her. Well, then I was shown the house, and I could see the pathway, like a small gravel driveway. So, you know, I drew all that out, and there was this entity that was a very negative entity. Now, it wasn't demonic, but it was very negative. It was one of these negative energies that wanted you to think that it was a demon, but it wasn't. So it showed me where it was staying, on the upper level of this house. So on that portion of the house, there was no window. But anyways, so when I was communicating with this entity, it was just really, really nasty. I can't remember all the words and all that, but it was really nasty. And all of a sudden, it shows me this big, huge billboard, and it says, "Come get me." And I said, "Oh, you just dared the wrong person." So I sent all that to, her name's Angie. And I sent all these to Angie. And she's like, "Oh my God, this is the place. You just drew the place. You've never been there. I didn't give you the address." I said, "Yeah, you know, right." And so she was like, "We've seen this girl with the, you know, the blue, like the Southern belle type. We've seen her." And she said, "Where you're telling us that this negative entity is in the house, that's where we always have issues." So anyway, so we go to investigate, and it was just really awesome driving in and seeing that this is the place that's on paper, right? Because I still had the papers. I had only sent photos, you know, of what I had drawn out. So it was really awesome because, you know, being able to look, actually driving down the path that I drew, and here's that house and the section that didn't have a window. So anyways, we go through, and right behind this house is that rock fence, the slave quarters. There were slave quarters there. So it was like everything was coming into alignment to what had came through. So anyways, we all go to the front door, and we all heard a growl coming right from the other side of the door inside the house. And it started to freak them out, but, you know, because they had the key in the door and they're getting ready to open it up. And then we heard this big, you know, like something had more than kicked it. There was a really loud, like something really heavy, as if it had rammed itself into the door. And it was daring us to come in. And I told them, I said, "Okay, guys, here's the thing. It's trying to scare us away. It doesn't want us to come in." I said, "But we need to go ahead and show them who has authority." So we went ahead, and they went ahead and unlocked the door. We went in, and, you know, of course, we went through the area and everything. And when I got into that room, there it was. And I had to help cleanse it out, and it took a long time. It really did. It took, we were probably in that room approximately an hour, maybe a little longer. But we did get it out of the house, but it was still on the property. I had to cleanse the property. So we went outside, and there's the noose they showed me that was still hanging from where that girl had hung herself. All these years, it was still there. Then they're all like, "Oh my gosh, look, look, look." So out in the field, it was like looked like a cornfield or something. You know, it was nighttime, so it was really hard to tell, but it looked like corn. There were 3 ghost KKK people moving around. We're all seeing this, right? And it was just so sad, guys. It was just really so sad. You know, it just hurt our hearts so bad. And so then we went to investigate the slave quarters. I feel spirit holding my hand. Oh. And And there is where I could feel there were several there. There were more than what had came through to me earlier. And so we brought them all out into a circle, held their hands so we could set those that wanted to cross over, so we could set them free. I had brought a candle and had that lit. We were in a circle holding hands with them. We were saying a prayer and helping them to see the light. And during that time, I had my eyes closed. However, there were several people that, of the family that had their eyes open. Of course, I guess they were interested in what was going on. And so they were actually watching, and they said something picked the candle up like this, as if it was looking at the candle. Well, during that time, again, my eyes were closed, so I didn't get to see that part. But during that time, and they're like, oh, the candle, I could feel that. I didn't see it this time, but I could feel that negative entity trying to interfere with their crossing. So what I did was I basically casted it aside and told it was not allowed in this circle and it had to get out now, because I was not going to mess with it, right? And so it did. It knew it was done. And so it literally laid the candle back on the ground. We helped cross the slaves over to give them peace, and then we cleansed the property from this negative energy. So that was one that just really blew my mind.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that one.
Yeah, it was so cool. Okay, so guys, now I think this is so awesome. Your gift, Shay, is just so incredible. It's so different. I would love for you to display this gift that you have, using it on Stephanie as a surprise, so that everyone can see actually how your abilities work and what you do.
Okay, let me readjust here. So what I didn't say at the beginning was I'm also an intuitive artist. So not just tarot and oracle and the mediumship and stuff, but I draw the readings. I use pastels, chalk pastels, and it's kind of just a neat way for me to communicate with how I see people. Like when you first walk up, I see things in color. I've always seen things kind of like 5D, it's always been an interesting thing to me. And it was an accident how I started this. Was sitting in a room with one of my mentors, and she was doing a reading on somebody, and I was just trying to get a feel for like, how does it sound when you do it like professionally out loud when it wasn't for like a friend. And I was sitting there just doodling, because I'm a professional doodler is what I will always say. I do it at work, at school, in college. I mean, any piece of paper I had in my hand will always have something on it. And I was doing that, and it got quiet. I looked up and everybody's staring at me, and I'm like, what did I do? And she rips this paper out of my hand, and I said, what's wrong? She goes, hold on a second. She was looking at everything I had drawn, these symbols and some words and some numbers and stuff. And she goes, this is it. And I was like, what's it? She goes, this is your thing. This is like you specific. And I had like drawn things that she hadn't said yet that were in the cards already. I had drawn like part of the guy's tattoo that he had on his back that we couldn't see. There were like names that were specific to that person. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know how to recreate that. I'm just sitting here minding my own business. So I just had to like take it and run with it from there. And I didn't want to do pen. I didn't want to do, just pencils, because I don't see things in just black and white. I see all the colors, the entire spectrum, like everything you got. So, yeah. And then everybody gets to take their picture with them, which is probably my favorite part, because then I get people who will send me photos. They're like, hey, I framed it and I stuck it right where I can see it. And I get people that come back for like checkups, basically, 6 months, a year. They're like, I just want to see if anything's changed, what's new. That's my favorite part about doing it, though. You get to take it with you. It's not just the words. You get to hold on to your portrait. This is you energetically. So, and everybody's different.
I love it.
Right.
Okay, so I've never done this live before except one other time. Okay.
I've never had it done before, so I'm excited.
Okay, I'm like, all right, so I'm just gonna start drawing, and then I wish I had like a way to show my hands, but I think my little tripod thing will break because God knows I'm not savvy at all with that kind of stuff. Oh, that didn't work. All right, we're just gonna have to deal with it. I'm just gonna go ahead and start drawing. And then I also do it, it's just like getting a card reading. So like if somebody has a question or an area in particular that they want more information about, it works the exact same way. I usually end up drawing a couple cards at the end anyways, just for like closing statements kind of thing to wrap it all up.
Okay.
Sounds like we need to have her on a show where we do readings.
Yes, absolutely. That was the same thing. You're up for it?
Yes, always.
Can you imagine Stephanie doing her thing, me doing my crystals, you doing your art? Oh my gosh, guys.
I'm also thinking it would be amazing for the three of us to do an investigation together.
Haha.
Yes, it would. We need to do that. Let's do that.
I have a location in mind.
Let's do it.
I have a videographer.
Heck yeah.
So we're set.
We're set. We're good to go. Let's do it.
Okay. So first thing, so a lot of the times the colors that I use will align with the chakras. Like those are some of the things I'll be like, hey, you need to work on this, or this is lacking, or this is out of whack. All right. So to start with, I don't know how clearly you can see this. So there, that's more better. That's a purple and a yellow. Now that specific purple that I use typically shows up when somebody is really tuned into, like, you know, third eye, they're intuitive, they know how to read people, you know, things that you do. I will say this one though, where it's placed at and how it feels, I'm not just going to be the generic, like, hey, you need to get like an attunement or like some work done on you, but please, can you please do that? Like you're kind of hemorrhaging out a lot of your power lately, and you're probably feeling the drain, but we had the moon and the eclipse and stuff, so that's part of it. But I also feel like you are forgetting to keep a little of that intuitiveness for yourself.
Okay.
Which hashtag we all do that. Anytime we give a reading, we're reading into a mirror, basically, is what I tell people, and that is the truth.
Right.
Also, being stuck at such a high vibration 24/7 is not easy. And the forgetting that we, you know, maybe ground every now and then, got to come down every now and then out of that vibration so you can reground yourself, feel human again instead of floating all the time. I know a lot of people that work at that high vibration, they enjoy that, and it's good. But I think it goes hand in hand with the feeling out of whack and the needing like to be realigned and cleared, and maybe take a vacation or something. I don't know, something that doesn't involve this. I don't care what it is, but yes. And please stop saying that when you eat something like sugary or chocolatey or something, this is a treat. No, just enjoy it. Don't judge it. Just have it and don't talk about it. Just let it be.
Yeah, Michelle.
Okay. Having 54 projects in motion at once is difficult. I'm going to need you to narrow down this next book and or lecture that you're working on and actually like pour yourself into it. I think you keep going around with some ideas and you've got a bunch of stuff written. Just slap it on a page, let it go. Don't overthink this.
Okay.
Okay, so how do you feel about like fairies and that kind of energy and that kind of vibe.
Love.
All right. Well, that explains a lot then. So, because what I keep seeing around you, like even behind you right now, is these little, they're just like wisping in and out of things. Also, good reminder that laughter is the best medicine. And we're not going to be so serious about things sometimes. I think it's bring you back. You know, I do the same thing though. I literally do. I'll sit there and go into a spiral and then I'm like, now I don't want to do anything. Mm-hmm. And then something reminds me, no. You got to keep that childlikeness about you. You got to go in with fresh eyes and have that faith.
It's hard.
Yeah, I know. Because the way the world is set up now, it's very much, we don't focus on that. Once you get past a certain age, you're supposed to be 24/7 serious. That is like the most boring human. If you meet those people, they're like little gray blobs. They've lost all the color. So I think they're just giving you a reminder. We're going to come at things a little more playful too. You've been on this gung-ho, like fast, let's do this, crank this stuff out. Like, no, I think now you're getting into that whole season of, okay, what's fun for me? Right. What is going to be the fun project next? Not what I need to do, what I want to do.
Oh, if I showed you my intention lists, you would know. That's exactly what I'm working on. What I released yesterday.
Yep. So more of that.
Mm-hmm. Because I'm a Virgo South Node, so it's all about the little pieces. I'm trying to let go of them, I promise.
Bless your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm a Capricorn, like hardcore. So yeah, the fires are always burning.
Oh, hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean it always gets done, but okay. So that's interesting. Pretty sure this is like a spirit guide or somebody coming through based on how they look. Yeah. So I'm getting like water dragon kind of stuff, kind of vibes. Very like Asian Oriental feeling, that kind of mysticism. Okay. This is a very weird question. Do you use like dragons for protection and things like that on properties or your own house?
No.
Okay. Well, because what I'm getting is there's like a big, and it's sitting on top of your house, like a for real guardian. It's this big blue. It's a big blue dragon. I don't know how else to explain that. Yeah, I mean, like draped over the whole house with the wings and everything. But they don't have fire; they have water and ice. Yeah. So
I'm a Cancer and a Scorpio. I have a lot of water.
Okay, that good.
Yeah.
Which does mean you do have to ground quite frequently in order to balance a lot of that out, though. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So here's what I have so far. I can't see. This is the worst. All right.
Wow.
The lights aren't that bright, but it almost looks like you have butterfly wings too on one side, which again, transformation, growth, all that kind of stuff. But your feet aren't touching the ground. And that little tiny red streak over there is like, dear God, please help me. Give her some dirt, some sand, some something, like whatever it might be. Right. And I'll send you this picture too. I'll mail it to you. Okay.
Or you could just give it to me when we investigate.
I could just do that. Yeah. And it almost kind of looks like a dragonfly too.
So the dragonfly here in the corner on the screen, because I'm a nature photographer. That's my dragonfly. That's my
Yes.
spirit animal.
Okay.
She actually took the picture and is letting me use that photo for my branding.
Mhm.
I've had a weird connection with dragonflies the last 3 months, like strong. Yeah, it
Mhm.
kind of looks like the one that's in that photo. Mine's, and I got a picture of what it exactly looks like when I was over at Cape Run too. There, on my hand for like 30 minutes, wouldn't move. I was walking around and everything.
Wow.
But
Nice.
you just have a lot of stuff coming up. I'm gonna need you to be organized. I need you to like really hone in and do that. The organization is the big thing, and turning it over to other people when it's time.
Right.
I think the letting go of stuff is sometimes hard because you're not a micromanager. You know how it's supposed to be done, and you trust you and you alone. So it's one of those deals. And again, I'm preaching into a mirror when I say these things.
Yeah. Well, so I was supposed to have a big equinox collaboration this Sunday. And for the first time in my life, because we didn't get it together until like a week and a half out, I backed out.
That's
I said,
okay.
I'm not going to work this hard. So I'm just going to, and I got another event by myself like that.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest problem is when always feeling like I need to collaborate with people and not trusting myself that I can just do it on my own. Plus, this is spooky season coming up. And so
I know.
My birthday's Halloween. We have all of this stuff happening. So it's just like,
Don't. You're going to need to leave some dates in November open.
okay.
At least 2 weekends need to be open. There's a gentleman you're about to meet within the next 2 weeks who's going to offer you something that's going to be really, it'll be interesting to see how it works out. It's going to be a topic that I think you put down.
Okay.
You walked away from, you're like, that's enough of that. But it's going to come back around.
Interesting. I have a few ideas of what that might be.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun and interesting, and it's part of the weird stuff. It's not like your typical paranormal things. This is like a little, I don't want to say like cryptid kind of stuff, but there is something to do with that at play. So yeah. I like your picture though. Like I don't think I need to add anything else. It's like I wish you could see how good the colors and stuff look, but
I like it too.
Cool.
I'm
like
digging the dragon wings and stuff. That's very neat.
Yep.
Right.
There's a lot going on my lane. So that dragon is definitely one I called in. And I would say he's probably also over my sister's house and my parents' house, which are not far from me because
let me show you this. There are 3 of them. There are 3 heads here of that dragon.
That's why. Yep.
Wow.
Awesome. Mm-hmm.
Also, I don't know what's going on in your main bathroom, but that person is just kind of hanging out waiting for you to have a chat.
Okay.
I don't know. They're not using the bathroom. They're sitting on the toilet like it's a man. It's an older man.
Okay, Charlie or Frank. We'll chat later.
I don't know.
She knows.
Yeah. He's like peeked his head in twice, like around the corner on the side of you. And I'm like, what do you want? But okay. Okay. So that's kind of like a quick overview of how I do those readings when I do the drawings. And yeah, and I'm very laid back about it. I don't have a lot of rules when I read. Like I want it to be conversational. I prefer it that way. Like, yeah, what you see is what you get. I'm not really any different when I'm not doing readings either. So it is what it is.
So cool. So Shay, so what you're drawing the energies that you see, correct?
It's the energies. It's, your aura, your energy, things. Think of it as me like taking a curtain and just opening it around you. And it's everything that's just yours and yours alone. Also, it's the channeling people who want to talk. It's the visions, the pictures that I get shown. it's everything. It's like a big old net. It's whatever comes through is what I'm gonna get.
Nice.
Awesome.
This is so cool.
Yeah,
Very
and so she's never ever met me before, and this is the first time we've ever spoken, so she knows nothing about me except what she's heard tonight. And I, have been struggling finding the right, because I have a lot of different gifts and talents, and so trying to finally let corporate America go for real and knowing I can sustain myself with my gifts has been really hard, and then finding the right avenues for those gifts. I've had a lot of visions come, I've had a lot happen this year, and it's been really successful, but it's just to your point, finding that groove of that path.
Yep.
For sure. Yeah.
2024, when I every year has a theme, I think, and because of COVID, the last 3 years, everybody was just like at a standstill.
Yeah.
There wasn't any movement. And I said 2024 is an action year. Like, you either get up and do what you're supposed to do, or it's going to drag you into it. Right. There are one of two ways to go about this. So I have loved seeing all the things that have happened for people.
Yeah.
So.
And I started teaching my moon class again. I taught one for 2 years with an astrologist, and now I'm teaching it again on my own. I needed a break. Teaching it again on my own. I have a handful of people, but what they're manifesting and what they're releasing is why I do it. So it's so exciting for me. And now that everything's moving forward again, it's like we've got the lunar cycles back the way they're supposed to be. And so things are going to start moving. That eclipse, this next eclipse, it's going to just explode. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is just so awesome. Shay, your gifts are phenomenal. It's so cool because yes, I definitely want us to investigate together. The three of us. I mean, this is going to be awesome. But definitely I would love for us to do readings together. Because Shay, we can stream it on yours too.
Yeah.
At the same time. So yeah, that would be absolutely incredible. It's really awesome. So I believe now, if we have anyone, any of the viewers that would have any questions for Shay, if you have any questions just figuring out about her, or like her personal life, her professional life, her abilities, anything like that. Or, of course, if you want to ask Stephanie or I about that as well, you are most welcome to. But after we get through with the questions, anyone that would like to come live with us, we can start bringing people up to tell your most exciting investigation. And if you haven't had the chance to do a paranormal investigation, by all means, if you've had a paranormal experience and it's just something that is very memorable to you, let us know, and we'll tell you how to get up here with us.
Excellent. So I think Lori's question really moves us into kind of a topic that I wanted to talk about. So Lori is asking Shay, do you hear or see more with your abilities?
So not to sound conceited, but I have been blessed with all my senses. Some people just hear, some people just see or just know or feel. I get it all of it. And it's upsetting to sometimes. I have a few friends, especially when I'm investigating, who don't see. They'll feel it, or they'll get like a picture in their mind's eye. I'll like be over here like, did you guys see that? And they're like, no, for the 100th time, we didn't see. And I'm like, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it was cool. But yes, I get
it. I go through the same thing. Yeah.
All
same
5.
exact thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it is kind of frustrating because, people will look at us like we're nuts.
I don't do that anymore. I'm just gotten used to that. Like my dream to be the old crazy lady on the street is high up here. It's happening very slowly. Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
So one of the things that I've run into recently, especially since all three of us have investigated and we're all three medium or psychic medium, is that I try not to, so Michelle knows she's been wanting me to put it all out there. And I really don't talk about being a medium except for when we do these things live. There's a different kind of a sort of different audience. Some of the people that come to our lives actually also watch my videos, my investigations, but it's kind of separate too. So I did have some people lately questioning abilities, my abilities, other people's abilities, because in a lot of people's minds, if they watch too much TV, like, you know, as in anything else, they think, oh, well, she's a psychic medium. She should know it all. She should know exactly who's here, what they're saying, what they're wearing, what they're doing. And they, you know, she shouldn't have to ask the questions and whatever. So I think it would be interesting for us to really talk about the differences. The three of us are different. We all have, I mean, I'm completely open too, but I'm not probably going to see as much as you see. So I think it'd be interesting to talk about the difference between a psychic medium and a medium or a psychic, so that we can try to educate people so we're not as bombarded with that we're fake or we're this or that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Okay, who wants to start?
Shay.
Sure, I'll go. Okay, well, medium. A medium is someone who works with spirit, past spirits. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. I really think that my way would be a human who has passed, because I think all people who do a lot of things that we do talk to spirit in their way, shape, or form, and like guides and whatever that might entail. But mediumship really is more along the lines of speaking to a past soul. Now, a psychic, not every psychic is a medium.
Right.
Not every psychic you're going to go to and you can't be like, hey, I want to talk to Grandpa Ted today. And they're going to be like, I don't do that.
Right.
The psychic aspect is actually reading for someone. Not saying you can read their mind, but it is a thing. We all do it. Don't talk about it, but it's a thing. And you're able to see things about their life and basically kind of lay out a story for them and give them some options. Like, if you take this direction, this is what happens. If you go this way, this could potentially happen. So a psychic has really nothing to do with speaking to the dead. So that is a clear distinction for me.
And you know, that's interesting because so when I do readings, I do use cards almost all the time, but they're just my crutch.
It's just that you can verify what this other person's hearing you say. Yeah.
So it's kind of like a crutch to me, but I'm just reading the energy. So I get it a lot. Oh, I don't want to know when I'm going to die, or I don't want to know my future. I'm like,
that's the number one thing everyone says. Don't tell me anything bad.
Right. Are you going to scare me? So it's like, I'm reading your energies. I also, if somebody wants to talk to a specific loved one that's passed, I'm not going to say I'm going to be able to do that, because unless they want to talk to me, I can't talk to them. So I get that a lot, where I'll do a reading for somebody and then they'll say, but didn't I have any messages from loved ones? Well, that's not what spirit wanted you to know, but sometimes they do come through. So let me go back in and see if I can connect. And animal spirits, I don't need cards for animal spirits. I just... they just come right all out in it.
Right.
Yeah. But then, like, you know, at investigations, it's not like we walk into any building or room or cemetery or whatever, and all of a sudden we just see all the spirits and they just start talking to us.
Sometimes yes, but sometimes no.
Right. And a lot of times, I was telling Michelle, a lot of times, so I work on these 2 haunted walks. We worked on one last year for Lawrenceburg, Indiana, and we're doing that one again this year. And then Brookville, Indiana is their first one this year. So that's on my plate right now. And they had a guy in Lawrenceburg last year that did all the research on the history of the buildings. And then we went in and we had already investigated some of them, and we had to go in and investigate the others. And lo and behold, guess what? The guy that built the building, or the guy that murdered somebody or whatever, did not come through. They were not the ones that day haunting that building. And he just got so up in arms because, oh my gosh, now I can't piece the puzzle together and make it into this awesome story, because they think that the guy that built the building, or, and sometimes it's not even about the building. It's before the building was there. So I think that's also interesting. And people get upset when you can't make it happen.
Right. Yeah, I agree. That's so I've had several people, when I was doing personal readings, to do the same thing. That they asked, they won't request to speak to a specific person, and I always have told them, well, I will try my best, but I need you to know that basically who's going to come through is who's going to come through, because I never can know who's going to come through.
Right.
And like for me, for myself, is since the NDE, I connect with all realms. And when I say all realms, I mean all realms, good and evil. And the thing is, I don't connect on a daily basis with evil. Absolutely not. I keep my home cleared, all that. But I feel like this ability being open is so that when I am helping people, I can go into consciousness and I can connect and see if there is a demonic entity, why it's there attacking someone, all these things about it, or if it's negative, who it is. And I feel like that's really why. But no, I don't just go around, connecting with them.
Right.
It's to help people,
right.
When people are having issues. But I could never promise someone that, oh my gosh, I'm definitely going to get information from Grandpa so-and-so, because I don't know. I honestly don't know who's going to come through, because I connect with extraterrestrials. I connect everything, absolutely everything.
Right.
So I never know what's going to come through, but all I can promise you is that whatever comes through is coming through. It's truth.
Right. Well, and I think that should prove that we're not faking it, because if we were faking it, then we just fake it to fit the story.
Yes.
I have specifically, first I tell people it's like fishing. Okay. This goes for doing investigations. This goes for readings. You go fishing, you don't expect to catch something every time, and you don't always get anything. So, and that's my biggest thing. I'm like, I can put it out there and see if they want to talk, but do you want to talk every day to some? No, they don't change in the afterlife. Like if they didn't want to people much, they may not want to today. So, but it's the same thing investigating as well. Yeah, I just look at it like that.
Because you can go to a location several times and get a completely different each
Exactly.
time. And I love it when I'm somewhere and somebody says, "So do you feel anything here?" No, I wasn't trying to.
I don't know. I think it's just hard for people to understand that you watch the television shows with people who are mediums. And it's, they're seeing people 24/7. My favorite way to look at this, I don't know if anybody's seen this, but the movie Paranormal. If you haven't watched this, I'm telling you, this probably explains like 50 to 60% of what mediums experience. We don't just walk in and see people riding a horse around, on a battlefield. Like, we can choose to turn it up and down, like, how much we want to let through. And that's for our sanity half the time. If you work a real people job, is what I call it in the normal life. Sometimes can interfere with things. I work in the medical field. It is difficult in hospitals and stuff like that if you don't know how to kind of filter things through every now and then.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
Yes.
You walk in a patient's room who's, weiging by a thread, and there's like all their relatives, and you're like, I'll be back. Like,
right.
Oh my gosh. Yes. While we're talking about this, oh my gosh. So Shay, because those of you who are new, I'm a retired nurse too. So it's like, with the medical, there were always so many complaints by people I've worked with, especially working night shift, seeing the doctor with the medical bag. Have you experienced that? And it doesn't matter where I worked. There was always this doctor with the medical bag. Have you?
So I've seen something similar to that, but then I looked deeper into what it was, and it made more sense to me, what they actually were, and it wasn't a bad thing. Yeah, there's a few things like coworkers and stuff too. I think when you're this way and you work in that kind of environment, weird stuff happens to begin with.
Yes.
In medical facilities. So I think, we're amplifiers for a lot of things. And so a lot of times people are like, I had one place, bless her heart, there was a girl I worked with who was terrified. I mean, terrified of anything. She'd ask, is there something here? And then go, no, I don't want to know. Here's stuff like in the x-ray room. We actually gave the spirit a name, and like every coworker I've had finds out eventually, because I'll either say something that they're like, how did you know that? And then I'll be like, or I'll be talking to myself, and they'll be like, who are you talking to? And I'm like, nobody, just having a staff meeting by myself. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Because you have to be competent, right? I went through the same stuff. I mean, you have to be competent when you work medical.
Yeah. You got to be on your toes. So.
Yeah, and this is not competent.
Right. Well, so I am not in the medical field, but I have a really hard time being in hospitals and also funeral homes. And even as much as we try to shut it off. So thank God my awakening really happened after my cancer, after I did all my hospitals. So during COVID, I had to go I had to go for my annual, and they didn't have the people in the labs. So you just, would go in, do the labs and be gone. I had to go in what they call the cattle room, where everybody else was, to get their chemo. And I didn't know anybody, because I've been out of this for years. 2013 was my last. So I've been out of it for years. So I didn't know any of the nurses. I didn't know any of the patients or whatever. And they're just all, in the cattle room. And I'm just like, I didn't shield, and I was just bombarded. So I sit down. They finally told me where to sit, and I sit down. And while I'm sitting there, there's these two older ladies catty-corner from me, and the one's machine started going off because they needed to change her drip. And all of a sudden, her spirit came to me and told me and showed me and said she's not going to make it. And I was just like, and I start bawling, And the lady herself just looks at me like, why is she crying? And then the nurse comes over. She said, honey, you're just doing labs. You're fine. I'm like, just get me out of here. What am I going to say to her? Please get me out of here. And she's like, okay. Don't ever send me in there again. Dale says that he has had very few instances where he's had a vision, and simultaneously I start asking a question to the spirit perfectly in alignment with his vision, but he doesn't feel anything, girls. Nothing.
Dale.
Okay.
Dale, you do have abilities that are opening.
Right. And then Beth, that's awesome about your fireplace being on the cover of a paranormal magazine. Ooh. So Kelly Allen says, my granny had healing powers, and it is passed down every third generation. I am one of the third, but unfortunately all of the elders have passed, and me and my cousins were left in the dark. So I'm assuming she's wanting to know like how to work with it. Mm-hmm.
Well, honestly, start small.
Yeah.
I
started taking some free classes.
There's a lot of resources online, like energetic healing work. Also, one of the best things I can say, especially for her, the hands, when your hands get that tingly, burning kind of feeling, like they just will. There's no other way to explain it. See when it is that happens. What are you talking about? Who are you around? What's your environment? Are you cooking? Some people have that. It's not just about the laying of hands on people. And cooking is also a form of healing too. And I think that's important for me to tell her that. Mm-hmm. Cooking is a way of healing, hint, hint. But yeah, just the internet's full of good resources. Right. And start small.
And there's a lot more healing centers opening up. So if you can maybe find one close to you and maybe take some, a lot of them have free classes plus paid classes, maybe start with that too.
So what was the question? I was reading someone else's comment that was really long and I totally missed it. What are we talking about?
She said, Kelly Allen said her granny had healing powers and it passed down to every third generation. She's one of the third generation, but unfortunately all the elders have passed and her cousins were left in the dark, like not knowing how to use it.
So, okay. If you, Kelly, if you haven't watched my recent, well, it's my only episode so far of Shine. It's under the Live tab. I actually taught something. Now, everyone has their own way of healing. Okay. But I did teach something that I was taught by extraterrestrials, how to heal. And it's the way that Jesus actually healed when Jesus was here on earth. Okay. So you can try it. It does work. It helps heal physical, mental, emotional, all of these things. But and you need to watch the whole thing from beginning to end, Kelly, because and you can always reach out to me if you have any questions about that, because I'm sure there's things that I did not describe. I will be doing those from time to time. But my point is, what I have in there may not work for you. Like these ladies are saying, we're all open to everything, but we each have our own unique abilities that I feel like when we come into this earthly plane, that we are supposed to be using more so than maybe the next person, right? And that's what makes us more unique. So, but definitely check out that Shine video and see if that works for you. And do also, as these ladies have recommended, and I'm sure that if you allow spirit to guide you, just ask your angels, your spirit guides, to help guide you to the correct information. You will find it. As long as you have trust and belief, you definitely will. You will find your way back.
Right.
Say it out loud and set that intention out there and see what happens.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And then It's John 40 says, is it possible for a demon to visit you in your sleep? Yes. All together now. Yes.
Yes. Since age 3, I started fighting demons at 3.
Yeah, I was about that age.
You, Stephanie?
Yeah, I wasn't. Well, I can't say that because I know that I used to have a lot of night terrors when I was young too. So probably. Yeah.
But I can say for a fact, demons, okay? Because now, guys, I'm 52, okay? So from 3 to 52, all these years, I have been connecting with entities, right? And I can literally tell you there were many, because of the way I was raised, and it was a lot of fear, okay? But fear-based religion, that everything was demonic, okay? And I can say that is not true. And I can also say that there were many that came through when I was 3, and since that time, that were scary, but they were not evil. They were actually people coming to me the way they had passed away. And sometimes they would come through blue because of loss of oxygen. But as a child, it's scary. Okay. Right. Spirit's pulling my hand. What are we doing? Where are we going? Where are we going? Spirit's taking me to the comments. Where are we going? This is crazy. Love Spirit 888. Okay, guys, we got to figure out. Love Spirit 888, are you still on here? Spirit just led me to your name on the screen. That's crazy. There's a reason for this. Spirit 888. Okay, we were talking about demons. Spirit 888. Or if you're still here, please say something in the live chat. Are you having issues with negative energies? There's something going on here, guys.
Well, we've had to cross people over during our lives before, so it wouldn't surprise me.
Right.
Feels like a siphon.
Wow. Okay. So while we're waiting to see if that person is not still on here, I do most definitely hope they come back and see this. That's wild. Okay, so back to what we were talking about though. Yeah, Jack Mack said demon in your sleep. That's scary. Oh yeah, absolutely. Hey,
Yeah, well, because you were most vulnerable when you're sleeping. The veil is thin. You're most vulnerable when you're sleeping. That's why they like to attack in your sleep. I had night terrors for years after I moved into the house I'm in now because of whoever's in my bathroom right now. He's cool now, but we had some issues. But yeah, so that's why I have a special prayer that I had to say before I go to sleep, and it made everything go away. So yes, definitely.
So Jack Mack's wanting to know, Shay, when was your first ghost experience?
Oh, okay. Let's see. So as far back as I can remember, there's about 2.5 years between me and my brother. We shared a bedroom up until I was about 5. And the first things that I remember seeing, one was a lady who it creeped me out to this day. That still creeps me out when I think about it. She would stand. My bed was over here. My brother's crib was set up across on the other side of the room. She would stand on the right side of the crib and have her hands over like this. I know it was an old lady. I know she had on all black, but she had a hood on. Like, I have chills thinking about it. And she would watch my brother sleep. I can remember waking my mom up because I was, you see things and you're like, first of all, your family thinks you're imagining things and you're that little, which some of it could come into play that way.
Yeah.
But I know in my core that this was not one of those times. I remember seeing that lady in that house. I remember seeing men, soldiers, I could look out my bedroom window into the backyard and they would walk up towards the house and disappear once they hit the window. And I would see them walking in droves of people. And I learned later on information about that property when I was about 13, 14. It was one of those, oh, yeah, you're right. I forgot to mention that was used as a medical facility during the Civil War when they were doing the raids through here. And I'm like, y'all had me thinking I was tripping out as a child. No. So, but right. I vividly remember this old woman. I'm still not convinced it was a human, but I can't be sure. But as far as the men go, yes, ghosts, hardcore ghosts, and they were like white, blue, gray, and they would just disappear. They'd walk as close to my window and just be gone. So
Jack Mack said, "Oh hell no!" Look at ran through the wall.
Welcome to my life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so on that note, being a child medium or a child psychic medium and having no mentor. Did you have a mentor when you were a child, when you were 3?
I did not. I didn't actually find a mentor till I was in my 20s.
Right.
And I've never had one.
I got very lucky. And it was, I want to say, there's no coincidences. It was just being at the right place, right time. That is something that I wish I had had. I knew that there were people in my family with spiritual gifts. So, I mean, there's a few things you just kind of knew, but I've always been the one studying the strange religions, you know, anything creepy. Like I was the 8-year-old in the library who's over here buying like, you know, Dear America books, but I was also checking out ancient Egyptian cultures and the Book of the Dead. Like, so I've always been that way. I studied a lot of things. I watched, you know, when a lot of the paranormal shows were first coming on and first kind of taking off on television, I was like, oh my God, there's other people like me. Like,
right?
Legitimately.
Paranormal state, baby.
I have met and I've investigated. I didn't mention that. Like, I've been to some investigations. I've met Chip Coffey and stuff before. Like, there's just so many things that now, as an older person, I'm like, Jesus, I wish someone had been there to just tell me a few of these things. You're not crazy. I mean, I went through a phase where I tried to shut off all the stuff. Mm-hmm. I've never felt more alone. I've never felt least like myself. It was a very rough time for me. And I was about 16, 17. Thankfully, one of my best friends to this day, even, she also was into all things spooky and weird. And she practices things now. Like, she stands in her truth. And as I'm a mom, I have a child, and my child is gifted as well. So I have made sure to make a different type of environment for her than what I had. And I think that if I preach nothing else in this world, that is me saying that about children who have abilities and things. I'm actually in the process of coming up with like some classes for that. And I've thought about writing a book and things because I feel like it's huge. It's huge. And when people don't believe you, and it's already hard for kids to have people believe them for a lot of things, not just metaphysical. So I'm like, I don't know, if you learn to stand in your truth kind of early, nothing can mess with you. Like, you are that stronger. So
high five. Yes, high five. I'm telling you, that is so true. And which, you know, when you grow up, you know, just like my dad, and he's watching this. Hi, Dad. Love you. But you know, when you grow up and, you know, you have certain belief systems around you and you have these abilities, and my dad and most of my dad's family and my real mom, it come down from both sides. I had these abilities, and some of my real mom's people. So it's like it came from both directions. But there was if it's not an angel or God or Jesus, it's demonic.
Right.
It's witchcraft. It's horrible. You're a horrible person. You know, you don't do that.
I went to I was brought up, you know, Southern Baptist in the church and stuff. I went to a private school up until I was a sophomore. Like, I still believe in God and all those things. It's just, there are other things as well that have come to me. So yeah, I get it. It's weird to try and balance out, especially when you still live in places that are still considered, you know, conservative is the word I'll use.
Right.
It's still very difficult, and people still have things they think about. So yeah, 100% get it.
Well,
yes.
You really need to do those classes and stuff, because DJ says her daughter right before you said that, her daughter has abilities and it scares her and she's really not sure what to do. She puts on 528 hertz at night and she has crystals and she's 6.
Okay. Well, I guess that's a sign for me to stop thinking about this and do it, isn't it?
Yes.
She can reach out to me if she has questions. I'll give all my stuff before we hop off here, like where they can reach me and things. But
now, Diane is a previous client. You know, I stopped doing readings and stuff, and I can tell you, Diane is legit. Okay, and Diane, I can tell you that Shay, she's a very, very good friend. She's over here all the time. Okay, she is legit. Okay, so you can trust Shay. Give you my word. Yes.
So you can get Shay in touch and Diane in touch with each other then. Cool.
Yes, absolutely.
The biggest thing I can say for people who do have questions like that, though, is just listen. That's the biggest thing they need.
Don't make it seem like it's scary.
No, because what they're seeing might not scare them, but it might scare you just because you're like, oh, I've seen the movies. I know how this ends. Like, that's not always how that works out. But being there to listen to them and let them and tell you what they're seeing.
Right.
That's the number one thing. Don't pass judgment. Ask, do you want advice or do you want mom to just listen?
Right.
Like, that works for all ages. So
now, Marcia had a question way back, and she wanted to know if any of us, I think she said time slip. I think she means time travel, like not time travel, but what do you call it?
Remote view?
No, like how we talked before about
Astral?
No. Remember how Chris went way too fast and on the highway? What is that called?
Oh yeah, there was missing time.
Yeah.
it's a time
Like UFO missing time.
Yeah,
type
but
stuff.
there's a
Yeah.
like time.
Yes.
jump. Yes. Whatever it's called, there's a word for it, but yes.
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 And so Jack Mack said, I have a question for all three of you. Have your families turned their backs on you because of your gifts? Yes.
Mine haven't. Well, my immediate family hasn't, but some of my extended family have.
Yeah.
There are some that I know don't approve, but they're still supportive of me in the way that they can be. It's just not something we might openly discuss. So I've been very lucky. It was a hard thing at first to come out of the broom closet, more or less is what. So yeah, I've been very blessed. My family is usually supportive of me.
I only have a few cousins that have tried to read the Bible to me, so.
And Jack Mack, actually, the video that I made a while back about the kidnapping, right there is part of it.
Right.
Not everyone, but part of the people.
So I'm talking about a timeline jump, and then Beth says a slip in time. Was that you or was that Marcia that talked about it, Beth, or both of you were talking about it? What do you mean, a slip in time? Is it like a timeline jump? And then Dana Days, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, had something follow her each place they lived until 2022. Sister passed, felt her hug her. I don't know if it's a guy or a girl, Donana. And now she feels, now nothing's following her. She feels like her sister is her guardian. And that could very well be.
That could very well be.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That is a thing.
Absolutely.
Darren wants to know if we can make out the faces of spirits. Absolutely.
Yes.
Is that my baby on here, Darren?
No.
Oh, a different Darren?
No, it's your baby.
Oh, you're kidding.
He's been on. He's been on, girlfriend.
Hi, baby. Hi, sweetheart. Guys, if you don't know, my son, Darren Sturgill, check out his new fans page, Darren Sturgill Fans. Subscribe. When he gets the first 1,000 people on there, he's going to start coming on there and actually talking to people live, bringing you guys up with him and all that good stuff. So kind of like what we're doing here. So, and giving away a lot of free merchandise of his, free CDs, all these things too. So make sure to check him out.
That's right. And one of my favorite songs is the one that you guys sang together.
Oh, I'm mom and I'm so proud. But I love it. I love it. That will always be so precious to me, for sure.
Okay, so Beth said I was driving and suddenly it was hours later and I was where I began driving. So it was you. I was getting you in Adventures Unseen, Marcia swapped. So you're not saying a timeline jump. You're saying missed time. Yeah,
time
I have not had that happen.
I have.
That's what happened with Chris, my ex-husband, recent ex. There's many.
I've jumped ahead.
I've done all those things, but the time lapse one, significantly, there was one that it really messed with me. Me and one of my good friends was with me, who is also she is a psychic as well, and it was I mean, time gone. Could not tell you what happened. Don't know where we were.
Yeah.
Freaked me out. It was in Wilmington, North Carolina.
That's cool. So like one time I switched timelines. Stephanie's gonna remember this because I was like freaked out. So I had bought some really nice these like these hot pads. They're really big. They were really really big. Um, that spread out over your counter, right, when you have hot pots and stuff to sit them on, and they were humongous. I had two. I had washed them, and I had washed them many times before, and I did not use. I always wash in cold water. I never use hot water unless it's something I need to sterilize or something. So, anyways, there's no reason anything that I did to make these things shrink. And guys, I tell you what's the truth. So it was like I bent over, like I literally was like bending over into the washer to pick them up. And right in that moment, I had this aura. And at first I thought, I was having like something going on, to where I was, like losing my balance or something like that. And I grabbed them, but I didn't feel dizzy. That's the thing. There was no dizziness, and I could still see well, but I could feel like some kind of aura. Something had changed. Something was different. And so here I was, and I was reaching down in there, and as I pulled them out and I stood back up, I looked at them, and they were like less than half the size. So I literally, I yelled for my recent ex. My recent ex-husband, I yelled for him, and I was like, honey, please look at this. Did these look smaller to you? They shrunk. And he's like, what did you do to them? I said, I swear I didn't do anything. He noticed it too. So somehow something happened. They did not shrink. Okay. It was not a situation because, first of all, these were not things that would shrink in cold water. Especially both of them at the same time. Like I said, I'd washed them too many times, and it happened. But I could feel like something was different. Something wasn't right. It wasn't the same anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Beth said, she was the one that said that it was like hours. She was driving, and hours went by, and she ended up like she never left. And the passenger's first words were, "You didn't even turn a corner." Marcia said, and Beth used to live in Maine, but she's in North Carolina now. Marcia said that she was, where is it? She was at the store and suddenly went to another place. Everyone was going very fast. Yes. And she said people looked different. It was dark, and they could all see me as well. And then her husband tapped her on the shoulder, and that's when she came back to now.
Yes. Wow. So that is something I've actually talked about with another friend of mine. I don't know how much you watch like superhero movies and stuff like that, but like,
yes, girl, let's do DC and Marvel. Come on.
Doctor Strange. Thank you very much.
Yes.
From what I've experienced a couple of times myself and some other friends, I wonder if you haven't like slipped into that in between. It's in between the different levels of consciousness. It's kind of almost the space where I think a lot of spirits end up sometimes when we're investigating, kind of how they can see us, or they can't see us, and vice versa. It's like a two-way mirror almost. That's been a thing. You might have accidentally slipped into that in-between space. Yeah.
One day when we were talking, the group was talking a lot about timeline jump. And I went to have my lymph drainage therapy, and it's a 45-minute drive. And so I was running late because of traffic, and I had to go to the bathroom. So I text Cheryl, and she's one of those that you can see when she's read it. So I text her and I said, I'm right at the light. I'm going to run into the bathroom because the bathroom's outside of her office. Like there's a couple offices there. And so I said, and I'll be right in. I'm here. So she didn't read it. She never answered or whatever. So I went to the bathroom. I came out, and the door to her office was locked, and it had like this skinny frosted light, and I could see that there was no lights on in the place. So I was like, what the heck? I've never gone there and the door been locked. And I've never met any of the other practitioners. It seems like they're never there when I go to see her. So I'm like, what the heck? Now, she had just been re-diagnosed with breast cancer. And so I knew she was going through a lot of stuff and whatnot. And so I thought, oh no, what, did something happen? Is she sick? I just talked to her that morning or whatever. So I went out and I sat down on the step and I'm like, now what am I going to do? I'm not going to drive all the way home. I needed it bad. I was so swollen. And so I'm sitting there and I thought, okay, well, her kids do not know me, but I found them on Facebook through her Facebook. And I messaged both of them. I said, I'm really worried about your mom. She's not answering my text. She's never done this before. She's never not been here before, whatever. And her daughter did get back to me right away and said, well, I just talked to her this morning. She's fine. Let me try to get her. So she tried her. And she's like, well, I'm not getting anything from her yet. So then a lady walks out from a different office, walks out, and she says, can I help you? And I said, well, and she's, oh, well, I haven't really seen any of them today, whatever. So I'm just sitting there like, now what do I do? Like, what do I do? So I'm just sitting there. And you know how you can hear when an outer door sucks? When somebody's opening an inner door and you hear the outer door suck in, I hear that. And I turn around and there's a client coming out of Cheryl's office. The lights are on. They're all there.
Isn't that crazy?
So I go in and I see this other woman and I said, I had an appointment with Cheryl at 2:00. It's now 2:30. She goes, well, she's got a client. And I said, what? I was just here and the door was like, what is happening? And then when Cheryl finally came out, she goes, I got your text. She said, your appointment's tomorrow. I said, no, it's not. It's today. And she's like, I'm really sorry I messed up. It's tomorrow. And I'm like, I don't even know what today is now. It was bizarre. Completely bizarre.
It sounds like Twilight Zone.
So I had to leave and then come back the next day.
Yeah.
I know.
I remember that. I remember you telling me about that day because you were like really twisted about it. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe this just happened. Yeah. It didn't even take me it took me just a minute to wrap my head around what had even happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Jack Mack wanted to know if when you have ringings in your ears, is that your ancestor trying to communicate?
Well, for me, it's like different ears for me. My left ear it's a signal from my spirit guides or my angelic celestial team. I'm picking up on their frequency when they are getting near me, like really, really close to me. I hear them. Now, my right ear, now that's if it's at a high pitch, okay, because there are low pitches. And if you guys ever hear a low pitch, that is a very negative, like a woo, very negative energy around you. So know that. But my right ear high pitch, that is actually like extraterrestrials that are tuning us per se to a certain frequency as we are awakening. Yeah, that's my experience. What do you guys think? What's happening with you guys?
Are you getting it, Shay, at all? Any ringing in your ears when?
So I'll get it, and it does. There's different pitches. But the lower one for me is not the negative. It is more earthbound things.
Okay.
The high pitch though, like technically that's either my guides or angels or something. It's usually when I'm getting a download or I'm not paying friggin' attention and they can't get my attention any other way. But I will say download is the word that I use, the way that I get an update basically. But yeah, there are different pitches and it does depend on the ear. Typically my is the one that I'll get the higher pitches in. The right side does tend to be more the here and now kind of stuff. And
I have ringing in my ears all the time. So they really have to ring if they want my attention.
That's what I'm saying. It's got to almost hurt. So
do you guys feel like it's more of a personal thing? Yes. Like, well, see, I do too, because I have come across, different, and I actually had, when I was starting to wake up, I was researching ringing in the ears, and you find all this stuff, right? And some of it's true. Uh, but you got to be careful, right? You've got to use your intuition on things that you're researching and what's right for you. And the thing is, it's like when from time to time, how you're just scrolling through YouTube or whatever, and something will pop up regarding what you're thinking about at that time, and I'll click on it, and it's like, wow, but that doesn't resonate with me anymore. So it's made me wonder. I'm glad we're having this discussion. It's really made me wonder, because I've had other people ask me about the ringing in the ears, and I really do feel like, because here's the thing: does everybody communicate with extraterrestrials? No. Does everybody believe that extraterrestrials are real? No. So I feel like our guides, of course, know our intentions. They hear our thoughts. They know our belief system. I feel like everything comes together into play for each person individually with what the ringing would mean to them. Just like, Shay, you can vouch for this. Although, in the medical field, we're all humans. Are we all identical? No.
Right.
What works for one's not going to be the same for everyone else.
It's specific personally, I think. And then also other people, like practitioners and stuff, you're attuned to different things too. Like some people like legitimate attunements if you have somebody work on you or you're trying to level up. And the thing's not fitting, the piece is not fitting anymore. I'm not saying you're about grown it, but that is just now a piece of your toolbox that you have. And now we're moving on to the next. It is kind of level up, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever had the, I see a lot. How I scry is not the way Michelle scries. I scry with my eyes closed and I can just see everything. And have you ever had that where just like, it just flashes numbers and letters and everything just,
yes.
Yeah. There was a show on TV like that where the guy would have that.
Yeah.
But then he would know what to do. I forget the name of it. It's so many years ago. And then I'm like, okay, that was a download. I have no idea what it was about.
Yep. Especially, I used to have that problem a lot. One of the reasons I didn't sleep well is because if I shut my eyes, I saw too much.
Yeah. Same here.
That thing. Here. And still is sometimes. There are nights where I'm like, I'll close my eyes and I'm like, oh my God, I just need to is there a way to not do this tonight?
Absolutely.
But use that. So yeah, that's a thing.
And okay, Shay can vouch for this. So Shay, the last time you were over here, was I not just running? Just all over the house, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that's how my everyday is. Yeah. Right now. But, I'm working on projects, guys. I'm putting myself in this position and taking care of my dad, all that stuff, right? But the thing is, it's when I do finally get to it was, I don't know, what was it, 11 and 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm still.
Yeah.
It's 4 o'clock that morning.
Right.
Poor Shay. but my point is, my point is that I don't know. I forgot my point. It left. Oh yeah. So, but my point is, it's although that I was really, really, really busy, the guides, as Shay was saying, could not get my attention. Not with angel numbers, not with anything, because I was all about business that night, wasn't I? Yeah. And I had been all day, business, getting her done, getting her done. But in the meantime, I was so closed off to everything else, including spirit. Okay. And so I could, I was really trying to multitask, I don't know how many things at one time. And I got her done. But when I went to lay down was when, Shay said, it's as soon as I close my eyes, Michelle, go check on her. You got to do this.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, it's like,
Well, I will tell you, absolutely. And just to go back real quick to time travel, my dog time travels.
My friend has a cat that teleports and does stuff like that too.
what?
Yeah,
How
God.
do you guys know? I have never heard of it.
One day I was, how was it? So my dog does not like to be downstairs unless I'm downstairs, and he doesn't like to be upstairs unless I'm upstairs. And my upstairs, because my house is built into a hill, in the back used to be the front. So when you come in upstairs in my house, you come in where my bedroom is, which is kind of weird. But where I'm sitting now is down on the hill, and so it doesn't matter. Anyway, so he had gone upstairs. I was going to take a shower, and he was on my bed when I got in the shower. I live by myself, except the dog. I came out of the shower, went into the bedroom, and he's not there. I'm like, calling for him, Copper, where are you? Where are you? And then I'm like freaking out. And I look outside and he's out on the front porch.
Yeah.
Okay. So I put him in the house. A little bit later, we're outside together and he disappears. And I'm like calling for him. He's in the house. So then I go up to my mom's and I put him in the back of the car. I was just going to drop these plants. I had dug some perennials for her. And so I just needed to hand him off. So I put him in the back of the car because he wants to go everywhere. He's a doodle. He's big. He's not like something that can, disappear or whatever. So I put him in the back of the car. He barks the entire way up there. That's his thing. We get into the driveway and he stops barking. I hand the stuff off to her. I had the windows down so it wasn't so hot in the car. Come back out. He barks the entire way back down to my house. It's a quarter of a mile. And I'm having this conversation with him. You wanted to go. Stop barking. Why are you barking? And I'm yelling at him. I put the windows up. I'm still looking at him in the rearview mirror when I pull in the garage. I get out. I go back. I open the hatch to my SUV, and he is not in the car.
That is so cool.
Copper, he's standing behind me. Look at my mom. What do you mean?
Too cool.
All right.
I've rubbed off on him. So Darren wants to know, have you ever looked at somebody and instantly been shown something they went through?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Darren, you're funny. Darren, you need to be up here too. You have abilities. He's better open. He's down here giving us questions, guys. I'm telling on you. Thank you, sweetheart. He's giving us stuff to talk.
Fine.
Okay, you guys want to comment on that though?
You guys go first.
Well, you want to say anything, Shay?
Yes. All the time. I actually think that a lot of people who come across as super judgy really quick sometimes, I think, have this ability. And sometimes they don't realize that they're doing it. Most people that have that gut feeling, intuition, I think they all do it. I think everybody to some extent has some sort of an ability. It's just others tend to listen to it. Mm-hmm. It is hard if you're not prepared, if you know you're going to certain situations where there might be people who have had more of a rough life, rough backgrounds, things like that. I know working with patients or anytime you're dealing with the public, that can be really difficult because there's some things that I just wish to God wasn't capable of people going through, but it's a thing. On the flip side, the fun aspect is you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. Tell me more. And you instantly find that connection with somebody. It works for relationships. All the things. I don't want to say I do it without like the person knowing, because sometimes you can't really control it. You just get a flash.
Right.
But I will say that it has come in very handy over the years, especially if you know how to kind of hone into it.
Yeah.
So, what I experienced now with living people, what I experience is everyone, I see auras, but I see auras different. I don't see the aura colors. Mine is like, I see it's like white, okay, but then I see all of the darkness. So like anyone that is like right in front of me, or let's say this happens a lot. I can be in the grocery store, let's say, and I can be on one end of the aisle, and I can, just be looking for whatever, and I will see this person down here, and I'll see their aura, and there's a lot of black splotches, like massive amounts, and that is my warning to stay clear. Stay away from that person. There's some very negative attachments or negative entities that is surrounding that person. Sometimes I see the negative entities, but as far as a physical body, that's what I see, unless, like with my eyes. Now, if I see something in vision, or I'm told something for spirit, that's different. But as far as actually seeing with my physical eyes, that's what I see. Now, I see more of the other realms than I do the physical, if that makes sense. Because everything in the physical, everything that I see, it doesn't matter if it's a fork, a TV, everything, I'm seeing its energy around it. So I don't see things like most people do, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope that answered it. I don't know.
I don't think I see as much. I don't see as, I will, if they want me to, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I more have people just randomly come to me and tell me everything. And then they look at me and they're like, I have no idea why I just did that.
Yes.
And you're like, well, I do, but it's okay, And then you find yourself hugging them and taking the energy and whatever. Yeah.
Cool.
So I'm not sure what hulking Colossus Clenulk is trying to say.
What a name.
I know.
It's pretty cool. Let's see. Someone else had another question too. Yeah, I get it, hulking. I do. Pretty cool. Okay, so it was Jack Mac had a question. Did we skip it?
No,
do you all remote view?
Oh, remote view. Yeah.
Yes, I do. Do you guys remote view?
Yes.
Yeah. You guys want to talk about remote viewing for a minute?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do it. Are you in, Shay?
Yeah. Okay.
So for anyone that doesn't know what remote viewing is, I didn't know what the hell I was doing because mine, I started doing it after my NDE. So I was like, when I came back to my body for about 4 years, I was all over the place. I would blink and I would be on another planet. I would blink and I would be in somebody's house.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. My spirit. I would see people, things that we shouldn't be seeing. But my spirit was jumping everywhere. And I didn't know how to control it. And then finally, the extraterrestrials, the Pleiadians, they helped me to understand how to, in baby steps, how to control it and how to use it. So, and a lot of it was learning how to I had to stay grounded. That was one of the main things. I had to stay grounded. I had to have crystals around me at all times and keep them cleansed and charged to help absorb. because if not, I was gone. I would blink and I was seeing, like Einstein seeing floating 3D equations. I mean, it was freaky stuff. I'm like, what's going on? And I mean, it was just crazy. But it's cool, but I didn't know what to do with it. Didn't know why I was shown anything about math because I'm horrible at math. Like I got down giving IVs and all that kind of stuff, but the IV calculations and stuff. But anything past that, I did horrible in math. So I don't even know why I was seeing equations and geometry and all this stuff, but I was. What about you guys?
I mean, so for me, so when I was a kid, there are things that I would do. And, I used to be very, very much into like writing. I would write stories, poems. I'd be making like books. It wasn't until I got a lot older, probably when I graduated high school, about 20, I'd go back and I started reading a bunch of the things I was writing. And I was like, holy crap. I'd start reading and be like, I went there. This wasn't like my imagination. Like I literally went there. So I like remote viewing. It comes in really handy when people have questions about, is there something in my house? Well, I'll ask permission. I'm like, are you cool if I go take a look? And they're like, what do you mean go take a look? And I'm like, right now where we're sitting at. And they're like, sure. Like they don't believe you're actually going to do something.
Right.
I'm like, okay, give me just a second. And I'll take a look. I've used it in some missing persons things that I've helped out with.
Yes.
That's huge. I'm really careful about that one because you don't know what you're going to run into.
Yeah.
I do it sometimes just to check on people that I know that it's cool if I do that with, like sometimes my kid or somebody I'm concerned about. I'll just be like, I won't go in the house. I'll just make sure they're okay. Like, yeah, I do remote viewing quite a bit more than I actually realize now that we're talking about it. I'm like, oh, maybe I don't know. I'm not so much grounded when I do it. I do like to be barefoot if it is something I'm actually planning on trying to do. And for grounding, my technique that I use for it is I literally have to have an anchor. I will either tie myself to a tree because I can physically see that and I can touch it in the other realm and like pull myself back. Or I'll literally just drop an anchor like a big old one from a boat somewhere and be like, all right, I'll float away and I'll come on back. So I use the same technique for astral projection too when I'm doing that. So
yeah,
I'm a very tactile person. I have to be able to like touch it and feel it, even on the other side.
Yeah.
Yep.
What about you, Stephanie?
I haven't done it as much, or maybe I did and just didn't realize I was doing it. Mine's usually when I'm sleeping, but I can really concentrate on it. And so when we were doing the whole Denise Flum case, I did view a lot with that.
Yes, we did. We both did. That's how.
By the way, they got new cold case people on it, so it's being reopened as a cold case. They lost the court case to be able to search the property that's left to be searched. So that's still.
No.
But Laura, love you, sunshine. Check your text.
Hey, Laura.
Check your text, Laura.
So before we go to another subject, I want to tell you guys this because, talking about the remote viewing. So remember when I was telling you guys that when I first woke up, I was like everywhere, different planets and everything. So anyways, this one time, I had, for those of you that are new, usually when I go on a spacecraft, yes, I go on spacecraft and I communicate with them. But they usually have on a white lab jacket. And I think it's because I'm a nurse and they're trying to make me comfortable. I believe that's what it is. But I can't say for sure. But anyways, so one time I blinked and I was on a spacecraft. Now, most of my spirit guides come through as African American or Black ethnicity. For those of you who are not in the United States, that's what we say here. Okay. I've had people make comments, how dare you? Well, that's what we do. We say Caucasian or white. That's what we do in America. I don't know about other countries. I don't live there. So, anyways, most of my spirit guides are dark skinned. Okay. And which is really cool. But anyways, I ended up in the quarters of one of the black male, had on a white lab jacket. Okay. And he looked at me and he was like, he was shocked. In a sense, he was shocked, but he looked human, looked just like us. Okay. But it almost was like he was shocked to see me, but at the same time, he knew I was coming and was waiting for me. And I was floating when I was in his room. I was floating like from the ceiling, and because I was looking down at him, and he looked up at me and he said, "Woman, return to your maker." And boom, I was out. I was gone.
Wow.
Yeah, like he got onto me.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I don't know how I got there. What I just blanked. I don't know.
Well, speaking of this kind of stuff, have you guys ever levitated on purpose?
I never have.
Not. I thought I was losing it, but I've done it a couple times in my life, and it was intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
I was experimenting with it. Remote hugging, stuff like that, like remote, those kind, like you can actually feel a person hugging you from across the world, stuff like that. And so I was also experimenting with all those kinds of things. And I was laying back in my recliner and I literally felt myself rise because I was concentrating on making myself rise, and it freaked me out.
It was my feet. Yep. Yeah, it was my legs. I was sitting in like an old wingback chair trying to I was upset because I've been trying to like meditate, which that word puts so much pressure on it for me that I'm like, I'm just going to call it quiet time. And yeah, I had my eyes closed and I was like, man, I feel like I'm floating. And then I went to like wiggle my toes on the carpet. There was no carpet. Like it was the weirdest. And it was only like a split second, but I was like, oh, you know, like, there's no way that just happened. Like Chris Angel's got to be up in here somewhere. Like it was,
Right?
I was like, oh my God, it freaked me out, but it was very neat.
Right.
Cool. So, Jack Mack says, for a person who has multiple personalities, who we see as crazy, are they really dealing with past lives? What do you guys think on that?
I mean, I think it could be a possibility, but I also do feel like people do have an illness.
What do you feel, Shay?
I mean, I agree with that. Modern medicine, Western medicine, God bless the leaps and bounds that we've made in just the last 30 years. Actually, just the last 10 to 5 with mental health, if you honestly. Do I think that in the past, people who have had abilities have been stuck in mental asylums? And yes, I do. 150 years ago, you best believe somebody probably would have had me up somewhere. But there are real illnesses. There are real sicknesses. So it's very hard to say yes or no. I think that is a personal case-by-case thing that you would have to evaluate. And even then, it's still really hard for a lot of people who are extremely just scientifically based to kind of grasp onto the possibility of things like that. So
yeah,
that's where I think having a holistic and a Western medicine kind of come together is very important in the system. We're not there yet. It's slowly, but eventually it's something. But yeah, it's a possibility. But yes, there are really people out there who are mentally ill.
Yeah. I totally agree, 100%. Both of you all. But now Jack Mack is asking, though, those that are deemed with emotional issues or mental disabilities, are they really dealing with past lives?
Well, that's what we're saying. They could be. However, there are real illnesses out there. So
even if it is a past life thing, there's, in my opinion, there is a right and a wrong way to process those kind of things from a past life. And if they can't cope with it, then there is something going on that they would need help with.
Yeah.
It's, again, yes, it's highly possible that they could be dealing with that.
Well, both of us know someone in my family, think, without saying it. We both know someone that would fall under. Someone who, because it runs in my family, the abilities.
Mm-hmm.
This person has abilities.
Right.
But that's exactly what you guys were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Needs medical help.
Right.
Because this just needs medical help.
Right.
Yeah. But the abilities are there and has been since childhood.
Right.
Definite abilities. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Darren agrees too. You know who I'm talking about, Darren, right? Of course. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
These are very good questions, guys. Okay, so guys, we've been on here almost 2 hours. What do you say? Are you guys up to? And this has been so much fun. It doesn't even seem like it.
I know.
What do you say about we invite at least a few people up if you guys feel like it to come up with us and tell their most amazing investigation or paranormal story? You guys up for that?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, guys. If there's anyone in the live, if you would like to come up here with us, we can only do one of you at a time. Let us know in the live chat right now, and we will most certainly bring you up. Let's see. Darren said, let's see. Marcia says, a lot of doctors definitely try to say that when you say you hear and see things for sure, but most it's abilities. Yes, I definitely agree. Marcia. I believe a lot of it is abilities. See, listen, when I was having to go to the pain clinic, where I had the accident. And when I was going, and I was going through the awakening at the same time. And so at the pain clinic, part of the rule is that you have to once a month you have to be seen by a psychologist. So I was visiting my psychologist, and so she was assessing me, and I was telling her all about my experiences, and I already knew because I've been having experiences anyway since I was 3. I knew all my life what I would get, right? So but I told her, I was honest with her, and she said, oh, so you're disassociating due to pain. I said, no, I just told you I've been doing this since I was 3.
Right.
So what about, I just had the accident a few years ago. So how does that correlate? 3 years old, all my life, now it's associated to pain, dissociation, that I'm dissociating from the pain in my body. So I'm going other places. I said, so, and the thing is, once the pain was gone for good, these things are still occurring.
Right. Right.
So, yeah. Okay. Darren said, I'm entertained. Really good questions here tonight. Yeah, absolutely. You guys are awesome. Let's see. I wouldn't even know where to start. Okay. They tried to say that about you too, Marcia. I said, yeah. Jack Mac, have any of you had any angel experiences? Yes.
Yes.
What about you guys?
Yes.
I've had real life angels in my life that did not exist, but they were real people at the time.
Who wants to go first?
I can.
Yes.
So, a lot of people have probably already heard this, but when I was going through my cancer, the guy the trainer I was working out with, Darren, I still was working. I mean, I started working out with him before I was diagnosed. Then I was diagnosed. And even though I was paying him a fortune, I still went to see him twice a week, even if all we did was walk around the track, because that's all I had in me after chemo or whatnot. And he was Baptist and he would pray over me. And I knew everybody in that gym didn't want to go to him because he was different. And why would you let him? You guys are weird. And he's praying over you and he's got holy water and all this stuff. But he was like, he was the one that taught me not to let the negativity in. He was the one that taught me all that. He kept me moving and going forward. And as soon as I was finished with my treatment and was given the "you're good for now," he disappeared. He wasn't at the gym anymore. But yet he will text me once in a while and he will send me a Facebook comment once in a while, but then he's off the grid. Like nobody knows, you can't find him again. Like he's there for a second and then he's gone again. The lady that I got my first breast prosthesis from had a place in Indianapolis and a place in Louisville. I ended up going to the one in Louisville, and her name was Carol, and she had 18 surgeries before she said take them, and she opened her boutique to help other women. And so I went to see her once every other year or whatever, and she ended up dying. And I know that, yeah, she was a person on earth, but she was really an earth angel. Like she was sent here to help those of us that needed her get through our cancer and what we had to deal with afterwards. So those are the two most important ones in my life.
Oh.
Yep.
Shay?
The Earth Angels thing, that's a thing. There are 3 people I can think of in my mind that one of them, I've never seen them again. I have no idea. Like I've looked up names before, cannot find them. It's like they fell off the map. Sometimes when you're doing readings for people, there are some that will stick out in your mind forever. Mm-hmm. And I did a reading one time for a lady who was having an internal battle, literally for her soul. Still to this day, and that was one of the first ones I did professionally, like out loud for somebody. It's still one that I go back and struggle with, and I'm like, did I do the right things? Like when I tell you that an angel showed up in this tiny little room and didn't look like how you picture an angel looking. It wasn't, like fluffy wings, and it was more close to what is depicted in the Bible. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know what that is, and just look it up. Okay, it's not what you're thinking.
Right.
Right.
I have never felt anything in my life like that, ever. The power and the way it was communicating without opening its mouth, with anything. It was just, it was a tiny little room. And the light went out in the room. The temperature changed. We couldn't get anything to work. And the door was open on this room, but it was shut. Like you could see the door was open, but there was something in the way. I wasn't scared. I knew it wasn't something that was there to harm me. It was there for her and her protection and stuff. And that it changed my outlook on how I viewed angels and, the stories that you hear growing up in church and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably one of the most prominent experiences I've ever had. I've called on angels before. I actually have taken several things when I was younger to get attuned to archangels and to be able to work with that type of vibration and things like that. Even with that, this still did not compare. So I still don't know who it was. They never have given me a name. I'm sure there's a good reason for that. But if I could draw, I've tried to draw it, and it still doesn't do it justice. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was a spiritual warfare moment. And it was life changing for her after that. So
nice.
I'm forever grateful.
Very nice.
Michelle?
Did you guys have any more? Okay. So one experience, well, first, what I want to say is on the spacecraft, I communicate with bird people. That's what I call them. Some people call them the aviator, aviation. I don't know. AV something. But what I have heard from most people, they're blue. I don't see blue bird people. I see regular human beings that are like us in part bird. They will have bird beaks, like kind of like Tweety bird. Some of them are really long. Some will have different sections, like they're not all the same. Some will have wings, like we know as angels. Okay. Some will have, just the beak. Some will have, just different things, and some will have a lot of bird. Okay. So I do feel like a lot of things that we've been taught, what was seen in the ancient times, were literally the bird people. They were extraterrestrials that were coming down to Earth. Okay. And, but as far as what angels are, I've learned that real angels, which can take form if they lower their vibration, are very, very bright if we're seeing them with our natural eyes. Okay, so like it's a brightness that basically it doesn't exist in this realm. There's no way I can explain it. It's just there's no way to recreate it. It may be close with AI and things we see in the movies, but it's much brighter. And what I saw once was, this was when I was bedfast, and I remember I wanted so bad to walk again, and all of a sudden I saw this big. It was like a blob. So it had no form, but it was this big, beautiful light. And I remember I just stared at it, and it floated over to the bed, and it was just like here, just kept floating. And it was the most peaceful, guys, the most loving, beautiful feeling. And I knew without a doubt that it was an angel, a real angel, and just absolutely amazing. But that's my experience.
Wow. Adventures with Beth she says, I was at my mom's house with my kids when the house was suddenly banging and shaking with every bang. I went to the cellar to look at the furnace, and it was spitting hot embers at the newspapers. I yelled fire and grabbed my kids to get them outside. My mom was in the bathroom, and a woman walked up to me. She said if we needed a place to go, we could go to her house, and she gave me the address, which was right up the street. The next day I went there to thank her, and that address was an empty lot, and she never saw her before or since. Wow.
Wow. Wow. This is so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That reminds me. So I remember one time I was walking with my dad and my dog, as we usually do. This was very recent, like just a few years ago, maybe. And we stopped at what used to be my grandparents, but my aunt and uncle live there now. We were talking to my aunt, and we saw this woman who we never knew. We have a dead end road who we've never seen, walking on the lane, going down the lane to the dead end part. And she had on the oddest, like, flower child hippie weird outfit, and she was elderly, and I see her a lot. It just reminds me, I see her a lot whenever I'm doing investigations, and she had very long silver hair, and she wore it in a braid, a very loose braid, and she was probably in her 70s. And she was just smiling and walking down the road. We never saw her come back out. We've never seen her since.
Oh, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah. So Stacy says, how do you get attuned to work with archangels and guides? I missed the first part. Sorry if you've gone over it. Did you work on building your skills, or are you born with it?
So, like I said, I think everybody on this planet you're born with something. We call it your instincts, your intuition. that gut feeling. And some of us just listen to it more than others, and some of us, it might just be stronger.
Right.
Specifically working with that high vibration, and that is what it is. It is a higher level of vibration when you are working with that realm. Some of it, I researched a lot of stuff, and when you start digging into the lore, the stories, the history, of angels and like appearances throughout the centuries and millennia, you can start piecing things together and things start kind of just falling into place with you. There are classes you can take specifically for archangel attunements. It is not something that I offer, probably will never, because that is not for me to teach somebody else. But there are people out there, if you find a trusted teacher who is willing to do those kind of things. But you can go online and start looking at, specifically for you, those weird symbols and things that you keep drawing and seeing sometimes that you don't know why keep repeating themselves. You can't find it in the runes. You can't find it in any history book. Keep digging. You're onto something. That's almost how it started for me. I was drawing Enochian symbols and didn't know what the heck it was.
Nice.
And still, there are still things that I draw now, even when I'm doodling, and I'm like, that's got something to it. And then I'll start doing some digging, and then I'll send it to, I have a friend who's a very, very smart person. And when I say smart, they're like one of the most major scholars I've ever met in my life. And I'll be like, hey man, I drew this. Does this look like anything to you? And he'll be like, hey, back in, I don't know, 50,000 years ago, they found this on a cave. And I'm like, okay, then. So
yeah.
There are ways to study it. Honestly, it really is just soaking up all the knowledge you can. I think the more that you know about a subject, the easier things come to you, and the more you're kind of opening yourself up to that possibility. Mm-hmm. Also, talk to your guardian angels. If that is something that you believe in, see if they can kind of help you in maybe getting a download or more attuned to something, or just opening you up to receiving information. Because like where it is a higher level, it comes through differently. That ringing in the ears, it's weird. It's a different way to experience things than what we do in this realm.
Right.
And you'll know when it's happening. Like you won't question if it happened. You will know.
Right.
It's a thing.
Yeah. I like what Beth said. I believe we are all born with abilities. Some of us are just more in tune to it and allow it to happen.
Yes.
I always say that too. And I always say those of us with abilities, the reason why we have abilities is because we listen to them, and we don't, we stop questioning crazy messages that come in, or the weird things we see, or the nothing is a coincidence, those types of things. So yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. So DJ says, how do you protect yourself from negative vibes, energy without crystals, jewelry, sage, etc.? I saw a woman on TikTok who did this crisscross motion and said a mantra, and I can't find it now. She literally cleansed herself after any negative interaction. She says, I know you can envision yourself in a pink bubble, but I guess I'm thinking more like a quick cleanse.
I've done a class on this. I've actually done some seminars on this before.
Oh, cool. So what do you do?
Okay, so yes, you can do the bubble thing. One of them I did was building your bubble. I make it very simple. A lot of the stuff I when I teach, I will be like, that movie or this character, because that's how people remember things. Have you seen Twilight? She's a shield.
Oh my God, I love
literally. I know that everyone's like Twilight, but Bella is a shield, and she projects with her mind, and she does it very quickly. Literally all it is taking your own energy and just throwing it around you. Now, as far as making symbols and signs and stuff like that, it could be as simple as I've got a paper clip. You know what? I'm going to put it in my hand. This thing's going to protect me. I'm empowering it with whatever it is that I need. I put it in my pocket. I'm good all day. It is really whatever faith that you put into whatever you're doing. If you make a certain sign like the cross, then you're protected. If you think making the X's, I know there are some religions that X's are very powerful. But it is really symbolism. It's what you give it meaning to.
Right. It's all in our, we're all in control.
It's all energy, baby. That's it.
Right.
That's all it is.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think probably too, the more you the more you protect yourself and shield yourself before the negativity, if you can. So if you get into the habit of, like, I'm the protector of my team. So I always say I always protect us before we do anything. And I protect myself before I go to bed, or I protect my family. So the more you get into the habit of protecting yourself beforehand, the better off you are too. Then you don't have to really cleanse because you've already protected yourself.
It's just making a force field.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much what it is. There are certain things you can do too that there's a thing that I do sometimes, depending on where I'm at. You'll see me grab my wrist or tap it or do something. It's kind of like activating it for me. I have a couple bracelets that I do that with too. But that motion for me is just like force field on.
Yeah.
I'm a nerd. It's really bad, but like that is the best way that I can explain it. But the symbolisms, the drawing things in the air, sigils, runes, whatever you might want to use, those are actually really good go-tos. I use them quite a bit when I'm doing protective stuff. I'll make it on myself. I'll put it on a wall. Yeah,
Right.
they're easy.
And so what I do is I just command it. Because I've learned, so this just goes to show you, Diane, and everyone watching, it's just intention. So like I have built such a trust with God and the Holy Divine, and that I trust everything, because they've never lied to me. Spirit has, when I say spirit, I'm talking about all realms of love. Okay. Spirit has never lied to me, ever. So that being said, I have 100% trust. And when Spirit shows me something, even if I don't understand it at the time, eventually it always comes to pass, you know? And so because there's so much trust, for me, I just command it. I just, like, I get out. I said, get out right now. And I say, holy angels, holy divine, all who are with me in the highest divine, and I do it with authority, all who are with me in the highest divine realms of love and truth. I need divine intervention now, please. And then I state what I need. And then I close it with, I trust. I trust. I trust, each time taking a very deep breath, because what the deep breaths do is help calm that anxiety down. Okay. And so as we're calming down, we're beginning to more sink into trust instead of being in fear. We start out in fear. We start out in, oh my God, this is happening. I need divine intervention now, please. And then we end it with these breaths, very slow. I trust. I trust. And then I trust again. So be it. It is done. That's what I do.
Right.
And it works for me, but that's just because it works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for anybody else. I think we all have to kind of like find our own thing that, what do we believe?
Yeah, you customize it for sure.
Yeah.
We have one of the viewers wants to know what your YouTube channel is, Shay.
So my everything that you can find, my YouTube channel, my Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of it is under psychicartist Shay. And I am going to be starting to do a whole bunch of uploads and stuff to it. I also have a podcast venture and another channel I'm about to start with a friend of mine. It's called Two Broke Witches.
Oh, cool.
Yes. So all those things are about to start at the end of this month, and then also mid-October. So it's Psychic Artist Shay. You can find me on all those things. And I do have a couple of events coming up too. October, again, being the busy month of spooky season for all of us who do this. Scarefest is a huge event for me that I've participated in. This will be my, oh, good Lord, probably my 7th time doing this. It's in Lexington, Kentucky. It's one of the biggest horror and paranormal conventions in the U.S.
Woohoo!
Speaking there on Friday. I'm the first speaker to kick off the event, and then I will also have a table all weekend set up doing readings and mingling. Basically, it's an excuse for me to go and have a good time and make friends. And so
You
that's
know I'm going to be there.
do what?
You know I'm going to be there.
That's fine. Come on down. Come on down.
Mel and I were gonna do, what was the one we were gonna do? It's down in Lexington. It was like once a month. And
Oh, you're talking about your Mystical Market.
Yes.
I've done that a whole bunch over the years. Love it. Absolutely love it.
But we never pursued it because we were going to do it the way we do together, like do it as a team.
Mhm.
But we never actually got to pursue, like even reaching out to see how we could get in or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, I may know somebody who knows somebody who.
Come on, girl.
I'm telling you, like I do love Mystical Market. I've been for years now. It's actually the first place that I started doing public things. And the same time I started doing my first public things, the person I was hanging out with, they go, "We're going to put you in Scarefest so you can just read." I'm like, "You want me to do what?" And this event has 20,000 people come through on Saturday. Like, it's an insane amount of people. Yeah, it was just bam, 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 bam for me. But those two events are two of my favorite on this planet. Scarefest is hands down is literally like my biggest party of the year.
Hey, Lauren. Hey, baby. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're on here. Thank you for watching, Lauren. But yeah, okay, we have got to do an investigation. We have got to do, yes. So we're going to be lining up an investigation, ladies, together. Yeah. And of course, I say ladies, Dale, I'm sorry. Dale, you'll be there. Dale's like, what are you talking about? And so we're going to line that up. And what else were we lining up? I forgot already. Oh, we're going to start doing readings together.
Right.
The three of us on here.
I can't find Shay either. I'm looking right now to see how easy it was.
On YouTube?
Yeah. Is it already up?
Yeah, the page is open.
Are you following her already, Michelle?
Yeah.
Can you put the link to her?
I'll try. If I disappear, guys, I'll be back. Oh my gosh. Can y'all still see me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm typing stuff. I'm getting ready to type stuff in here.
So this is the thing that happens to me a lot. Technology doesn't work for me. Yeah. I have had whole things just disappear and then come back, or I don't exist for a while and then it'll show up for everybody.
Oh my gosh.
YouTube is hard. YouTube is hard to find people. I can't sometimes search for channels that I've watched every single episode of theirs, and I try to search for them and it doesn't bring them up. It's the weirdest thing.
That's so strange.
Mm-hmm. It's the weirdest thing.
Here you are.
Yeah, I was doing a lot of lives on like Facebook and Instagram and stuff where I'll go on and just offer like a 1-card draw for people. And I actually love doing that because some of the stuff that comes out is just hilariously amazing.
Right. Yeah, Michelle and I have had 4-hour lives doing readings together.
I think the last one I did was like 2.5.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how late it was till my kid was like, "I gotta go to bed." And I'm like, "Oh my God, okay, hold on."
Right?
Yeah.
I think I've got you on Instagram.
Did it come up?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it clickable? Did I do it right?
I don't know. Let us know, Beth, if it's clickable.
Well, I'll tell you what. And it's also, look, I'll type in your @ thing here.
It's clickable, they said.
Okay, good.
Cool.
Good. Okay. Good deal. Okay, so we've got some, like, Shay, you got some cool stuff coming up. Stephanie, you got some cool stuff coming up. I've got some cool stuff that I'm working on behind the scenes. Woo, ladies, heck yeah.
I got you.
Do I know?
I got you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I guess you would like that. You would like the card pull and stuff. Awesome. So I guess we're pretty good to go ahead and start closing, or Anything else? We're good?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to be starting to set up this cool stuff, guys, for you all. Okay, because we love you all, right? We love you all so much. And we have so much fun helping you guys and, using our gifts too, because you guys can do the same thing. Find your talents, find your gifts, find what it is that you have a passion for. And, just give it to God, the divine, and say, hey, help me to understand it. Help me to see it. Help me to, whatever. And start looking for those signs and synchronicities. Listen to your dreams. Listen, guys, something that works for me, and it does work for most people. Right as you are starting to fall asleep, that is called theta dream state. And right steak. I must be hungry. Keto, baby. Give me that steak. I'm baking. Keto. Oh my God. Keto dream state.
Good Lord, girl.
Theta dream state. So it's like right as you're drifting off to sleep, and then right as you're waking up. So like about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, right when you wake up too, is the best time, like especially when you're learning to receive information and communicate. Because, right, a lot of people think that, I'm sure you guys have like started falling asleep and then you jump and stuff like that, and you think you were dreaming. No. REM sleep does not start as soon as you fall asleep. It absolutely does not. You're not dreaming. You're traveling. You're going places. Our spirits do not stay in our bodies when we go to sleep. But as we're starting to drift off, a lot of times, if you just ask one question and, say, please tell me something I need to know. Just something simple, okay? Mm-hmm. And just quieten your mind and allow yourself to start drifting off to sleep. Start watching. And it may not happen immediately. Some of you, it just depends on your trust level. You got to trust, guys. You just got to trust. You got to know that there's people, there's ancestors, there's angels, there's all kinds of beings around you, okay? And they want to communicate with you. And that's one reason why, too, that, certain people have open abilities, because we're helping usher you in during this awakening. So you can use yours, too, and be just like us, right? Because we're not these big, huge, special people, okay? We all are, okay? And it's just the thing that everybody has to get that in their mind and understand. We're all like this with our own uniqueness, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyways, I guess we're going to go ahead and get off of here. Much love to you guys. You guys ready to close?
Yep. Thank you guys for having me on.
Absolutely.
Oh, you're so very welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Shay. Thank you so much, Stephanie. I love you guys so much.
Don't go anywhere, Shay, yet.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, we're going to get this stuff playing.
Capricorn.
Right. Well, and Cancer, Shay, she's a Cancer, our opposite sign. So we got this.
Right.
Workaholism.
Everybody.
Good night, guys.
Good night.